Alright, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to Surviving GT6, Season 3. And, let's kill this guy. Apologize about not having the live stream on Tuesday that I planned on having. We had a really vicious thunderstorm come through the area, and apparently we don't have cable lines or whatever buried around here, and they're having issues. That's what they're blaming it on. In other words, thank you, Spectrum. Anyways, so I changed this over a bit, took the pipe out, put in a barrel because this makes way more concrete dust than this does on making the actual wet concrete, although I think the biggest issue here is the water, which you can see is still going up, even though this has had time to completely turn off. I did change out the pipes to the huge wooden pipes. I had some small wooden ones in there, and they were really making the flow anemic. And I need to probably do copper, but I might do bronze fluid pipes. Next, we could do Invar as well. Invar is not too difficult to get. Let's see here. For fluid, we're currently doing huge wood, which is 600 bandwidth. If we went to huge copper, it would double that. If we went to huge bronze, it would triple it. And if we went to Invar, it would quadruple it. Now, I would much rather do aluminum, which would also double it, but we haven't gotten to aluminum yet. We could do rubber, which would also double it, but huge pipes take, is it 6 or 12? I think it's 12, yeah. Because that's half a unit. It takes 12 per pipe. We got a lot of pipes. So it'll be a little bit before we get that done. This is finally done, so we can shut it off for right now. And this is how much concrete we actually have made. A butt ton. That should keep us in concrete for a little while. But today we're going to set up to make galvanized steel. So I need to get a bit of zinc, because that's how you galvanize steel, is with zinc. And I've already set up a second crucible here, gas powered, pistons working, and we're going to go ahead and just throw all 16 of that in there. And now we need a faucet. This is a simple clay thing. You just make a bowl shape with a knife and a rolling pin. We're also going to be using a basin. It's the same thing, just an extra on the side. Looks like a crucible, just without the corners. Alright, so we're going to throw that there. We're going to take the basin. Why did I say a basin? We're not using a basin. We're not trying to make blocks of zinc. We need a bathing pot. And I just happen to have an extra one. Make sure you use stainless steel. Don't put molten shit in a wooden thing. And no, molten ice does not count. Somebody brought that up, that molten ice is water and you can put that in one. Being a smartass is my job. Thank you very much. Alright. So we're going to get that started up. Because it's Invar and it is 16 units, it's going to take a little bit, but not too bad. As you can see from the redstone back there, I have steel cooking up because we're making galvanized steel. I need steel plates. But I do have the first thing we're going to do already ready. Already ready. Yeah, that's what I said. Which is a regular machine casing. We're getting ready to set up our first electrolyzer. And so for that electrolyzer, we need a regular galvanized steel machine casing. You can do each individual part, or you can do the casing itself. I prefer to do the casing itself. It's a lot less fiddling around getting everything in there. We're also going to be making our first dynamo, which is why I'm getting more stuff ready over there, because a dynamo is going to take a robust galvanized steel machine casing, and we're also going to need galvanized screws and a galvanized gear. So we already have a gear mold right there. Let's go ahead and grab us 4 steel here, keeping an eye on our zinc because we don't want to boil it. But we can go ahead and fire this up, and this will get done nice and quick since there's only 4 in there. We already have the plates for the machine casing. We just need the rods, and then we're going to need 3 screws. We actually have steel screws, so we can take 3 of these, and when this gets done, we can galvanize those along with our... Hey, you stop that. I thought I had that turned off. Boink. Why does that say redstone? That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Okay, so this is now done. We're going to turn it off, and we're going to smack every last bit of that right on in there. And then we put in our casing. We put in our screws. And once I get this steel plate back in here and heated back up, we'll get our gear. Boink. Aha, you tried, didn't you? And let's see, we've got 12 of these. That got really close. Might need to turn that down just a touch. Alright, so here is our 6 double. And then we need 2 long rods, which I don't have. So we're going to hammer those out from these regular rods. There we go. There's our robust. So let's grab our gear. And there's our machine casing. And there is our gear. So, get that out of the way. This goes on the top. That goes in the center. These go around the outside. Around the outside. And the next thing we need is a long magnetic rod. and we need 2 copper wires. But the long magnetic iron rod, we have to use redstone for. Now, eventually, going to use a polarizer, but that actually takes electricity, so we can't do that currently. So we need 9 of those, and I actually don't think I have any iron rods. So let's grab 2 of those. And it can be wrought iron, by the way. You don't have to worry about that. Take that on down to 22. And turn it back on. And let that make us our rods. I don't know why I put 2 of them in there. I only need 1, but we're going to go ahead and do 2 because I put them in there. And the other thing we have to get made that I'm going to show you today is we have to get platinum. So let me get this here taken care of, which we'll do over here so I don't have to mess that up. So that 9 redstone, or 8 redstone, sorry, and that would give us our long magnetic rod. I just throw the extra one in there. So now we'll go grab us a bit of copper so we can extrude that into wires. It's low heat, so we don't have to worry about that. And then we need to make platinum. And early on, the only way you're getting platinum is with sparelite, which I know I have here somewhere. Where did I put it? There it is, sparelite. Alright, so for the electrolyzer, we are going to need 2 platinum wires. And it's going to take a plate to do this because we can't do it without the Invar extruder. We can't, it's not a low heat material. So that means we're going to need 2 units to make 2 wires. And each one of those are going to take, let's look here. Yeah, you can do sheldonite, by the way, but sparelite is easier to get. This is going to take forever. I think I remember the actual number. I think it's 3. Let's look. So 1 sparelite is a chunk. So, yep, I was wrong. We need 8. And luckily we have just enough for that. I do have an iridium vein right over there, so getting more sheldonite and sparelite is not an issue. So we just drop these in here, turn this back on, and it will turn into platinum in just a second. And we will pour it as 2 plates. Oh, and while it's doing that, we can get our copper in here. It's a reasonably high material, so we don't have to worry about it burning up. Platinum is really high boiling point. It boils at 4098, so no reason to worry about that. And I almost forgot, we also need to get 2 tin cables. Those we can extrude. Okay, so all the impurities just dropped out. We're now down to just platinum. If we had an extruder, we could actually take the scrap out and just throw it in the extruder. We wouldn't have to let it finish heating. We unfortunately do not have that, so we do have to pour it. And since I'm a big old dummy, let's take a run back over here and grab us a piece of tin, because luckily tin is low heat, so we do not have to mess with the crucible for it. We won't lose all of our material. And hey, look at that, we got 125 rubber. 23 now because I got take 2. Alright. So we're going to get the rest of this made up. So we're going to throw the tin in. We're going to light that. And we're going to grab our plate mold. And we're going to throw our rubber in there. Put the wire back. So there's our 2 copper wires. There is our 2 tin wires. And we have 2 rubber sheets. And we take the 2 rubber sheets, the 2 tin wires, and that will make us 2 tin cables. And since people keep wondering about this, if you look at the wire, it says has shapeless recipes with amount 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. That means you can turn it into bigger wires. You can combine them. So if you look for the uses, and this is Electrolyzer, you will see that there are no recipes other than putting rubber on it. But you can make a 2x just by putting 2 of them in here shapelessly. You do not need a loom to do that until you get up to, for the 1x, it says 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So you can go all the way up to an 8x cable. I do believe, though, you cannot put, you can put 2 4s together. Oh, well, 4x does say 3, so that means you can make 12 and 16 X wires. You have to make 4s and then go to 12 and 16, but you don't need it. And Greg has also made it to where if you want to use a barrel, you can use a barrel to do so. So if you take a item barrel, I know I have an item barrel. Item barrel. So if you take an item barrel and you take, say, these coppers, you put them into doubles, you put that in there, you can actually put another copper in there. See, like if I take these and I turn them back into regular, I can put them right in there and it'll automatically put them into doubles. So if you, like I do, use 8x cables everywhere in your base, you can just use this to automatically put them together for you. You don't have to sit there and do it every time. Very nice addition that was added in one of the last updates before Greg went on his summer hiatus. Alright, so we can put these in here. We can get our screwdriver in here. There is our first dynamo, which is how we turn our U into EU. And then we can put our machine casing, our 2 tin cables. We'll make our 2 platinum cables, or wires. There we go. I knew it was one of them, daggone it. And we put these in the upper 2. And there is our electrolyzer. So we will get to work on setting this all up. in the next one, and we will actually be using that for getting cassiterite down to tin and oxygen. The reason why we're doing that, if we look up cassiterite, when you put that into a crucible, it is worth 3/4 of an ingot, or 3 chunks. But if you put it in an electrolyzer, which is 42 EU, which is just at the max that you can make, the most you can make with an LV dynamo is 44. I'll show you that in just a second. But one of them gives you an entire tin and oxygen. And we're going to need oxygen for roasting our sulfides. And so this is one way of doing it. Usually I do water to get hydrogen and oxygen, but I really don't need the hydrogen right now. So I do need tin to make bronze. I figured this was a better choice. And we can also do water in this when we need to. For doing aluminum, we're going to need sodium hydroxide. Let's see if I can find that stuff. There's sodium chloride, nitrate, carbonate. There's regular sodium, persulfite, hydroxide. We're going to need sodium hydroxide, which you can do with a mixer and distilled water, but that is really difficult to do. You can also do sodium aluminate. You're not doing that right now, so don't even think about it. Or you can just do salt in water. It does not have to be distilled. And that will give you chlorine, hydrogen, oxygen, and sodium hydroxide. And we're going to need that sodium hydroxide for aluminum processing. Right here, we're going to need it to make our cryolite, which we need for making aluminum. And I think there's another thing we need it for, but my brain's kind of off in forgetful land again, as it typically does. And another thing that we can use it for, which we're going to be needing a lot of here soon, is for making nickel. We can actually do in the electrolyzer garnierite. So garnierite is 1:1 with a bit of oxygen. Or you can throw it in a crucible and again get 3/4 of an ingot's worth. And this one is only 28, so it's even cheaper than tin to do. Now, I told you I would tell you about the maximum of the dynamo. So one electric dynamo can put out, can take in 64 RU. 64 is the max for LV. But because of the efficiency being 68.75, the top you can get out of it is 44. So 2 above the minimum. Now, if you needed to, you could do 2 LVs, put them together at 44, and make MV. Because the 2 44s would go together to make 88, which is above 64, so that it would be combined. But all we're worried about is getting the 42, so we can get all of our minimum electrolyzing recipes or low voltage electrolyzing recipes done. And so for that, we need to give it 64 RU. So we're using a steel turbine, and to get 64 RU out of a steel turbine, you need 192 steam. which, as we have seen from other things we have done, that is exactly what a bronze strong steam boiler puts out. So we have a solid burning box for this because we are making a lot of solid fuel. So I'm reusing one that we already have. We have 1900 lignite coke, and we have a whole bunch more that needs to get processed. So we will set that up for the next one, which will be on Friday. Hopefully our internet gets worked out and I can get back to streaming, and we'll come up with some time that I can work on getting that building built out there. So hopefully next week we'll be able to start on our acid production, roasting, all that good stuff, and we can start getting to aluminum, because that is our first major goal, is to get aluminum. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support you guys are giving this series. I've been doing this for 8 years and still amazed people are enjoying watching me do GT6. But I'm glad you are, because I'm enjoying doing it. And as always, thanks to my patrons and channel members. If you're interested in doing so, you can check the links below or the card at the end of the video, and I will see you next time.